Top 5 plan Bs for Kentucky. And Mark Pope is not on this list just because I didn't think they would go for it, but maybe they will. Number 5, this is a retread a little bit of earlier in the week, but I've moved some things around.
Yeah.
But now that, earlier in the week, it didn't get as much play as I thought it would because I think everybody thought that Scott Drew was just the guy, that he was going to say yes and go. Didn't happen. He went and had some chips at Mi Casita. Realized what he'd be missing. I'll tell you, here's another thing he would miss. There's no one who loves crazy wings more than Scott Drew.
That's funny.
And I'm dead ass serious about that. They don't have those.
I was thinking, when you said that about the Mexican food, it made me think when we had Jerome Tang on, and he was talking about the tortillas and how he had to learn to make them himself. It's the same type of situation.
Yeah. No, hey, last year, I'm going to tell this story. Amanda may see it. My mother-in-law may see it. My sister-in-law won't see it. The first day we're in Hawaii, we're trying to figure out, we're the first day everybody was there. So it was like the second day we were there. So I think my mom hadn't gotten there yet. Or maybe she was, but like her family had all gotten there. And her sister looked up and I said, I heard there's a good Mexican restaurant across the street. I said,
in Hawaii?
I said, look, I promise you it's not. It might be good by Hawaii standards, but
no.
I said, we live, and guess what? I was right.
Imagine that.
I was totally right. It wasn't like,
I'm sorry you had to endure that.
It wasn't terrible. Like it was it's one of those things that if you don't know, you'd be like, oh, this was a fine meal. Yeah. But if you know. And I was like, all right. And she was like, oh, you seem upset. I'm not upset. I'm just telling you that. And Amanda's like, look, I said, Carrie, we live in Mexico. We live there.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's not Mexico anymore, but it was. And it's just.
It is. We have culture.
We do. We have.
We're one of the few states blessed with culture.
And like, again, like in Tex-Mex and Cal-Mex and like they're all different a little bit and all wonderfully different. Mm-hmm. Like I love California Mexican food. I love New Mexico Mexican food. I love Arizona Mexican food. It's all different.
I'm not really into the Chipotle style with the New Mexico and Arizona. I can get with it, but it's not my favorite.
But I mean, like I like Mexican food. Like, I
love that.
Like I love all that. But like when you're in Hawaii, also like in Hawaii, let's eat stuff that's more Hawaiian.
Yeah.
But when we did that all the rest of the time, but I was like, okay. And they all liked it. But again, and she lives in Indiana. They don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. They don't have a clue.
They don't know. They have no idea. Number 5, Todd Golden, University of Florida. Young, up and coming, can win in the SEC. This one probably too much of a reach because he hasn't done anything yet. But if you want probably the best of the young, up and coming guys, this is who I would go get.
He might not be the right guy this cycle, but the next cycle, he could probably build a resume to where he would be the perfect fit for that.
But then again, Florida is also going to be able to fight and keep him. So I do think there's going to be someone who who starts playing buckyball, the other coach at Samford, next year. That's not Samford.
Yeah,
I think that's going to happen. He's still really young though, but I wouldn't put him on this list. No. But I think one day he's going to wind up with a Kentucky type job.
Probably.
I don't know. He might. Like I said, Todd Golden. Number 4, Greg McDermott. Look, this is an older coach. He's been at Creighton. He wins at Creighton. I don't know if he would leave Creighton, but
man, if Kentucky called and you can have the money and the resources behind it, and you've been able to get Creighton where you've been able to get Northern Iowa in the mix, I would definitely consider if I'm – he's a hell of a coach.
Yeah. He is. He's a great coach. And look, he wins. He's not quite broken through yet, but I feel like that might be coming.
Yeah.
Which is also why you don't leave. Number 3, Sean Miller, which should probably be higher.
Nope.
Sean Miller. We've heard John Fanta said it, Sean Miller. Kevin Flaherty said it, Sean Miller. We've had some differing opinions on it, but I mean, come on. Like I think he bears looking out for there.
I love Sean Miller. I mean, I like Arizona basketball. I watched him from there. Just even before that, even when he was at Xavier the first time, just he's a really good coach. I think his personality would kind of fit there. But I also think that on the contrary, Kendall did bring up some good points. It's just kind of a situation where whatever your preference is, but I think Sean Miller personally would do good there.
Yeah, I do.
If he went there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Number 2, Will Wade. Look, he's brash. Like, he fits. They would love his ass. They would love him. They would love him. They'd be mad because he hasn't done anything yet. Then he'd do something. They'd be like, oh, my God, he's perfect.
And he would pop off at him, too, and let him know about it.
He's so perfect for this job. He is so perfect for it. Brash.
Everything.
He's probably not perfect. He's probably not perfect to work with Mitch Barnhart. I think that's
maybe not, but
and look, that has to be. You have to have the alignment, right, to have true success. But man, I mean,
somebody's going to get him.
As crazy as their fans are, and as like passionate as they are, he would match their. He can get on their level.
Yes,
it's a hard thing to do. Cal got on their level for a while. Patino got on their level. Tubby was able to win post Patino because he's a good coach who stepped into a really good situation. I don't want to knock Tubby at all, but like
he did his thing.
He did his thing, but like those guys won, but they had him. Patino would have always had him had he never left. He would have always had him, but he left. He went to the NBA, and the rest is history. But he could be on their level. Look, the reason that it's taken so long between Mac and Steve Sarkisian to compare that job again is Mac could get on the level. He could get on the level.
Yup.
John Mackovic couldn't. David McWilliams couldn't. You know, Fred Akers was kind of on the level. He just wasn't as good of a recruiter as Darryl Royal was. So Fred Akers on the level, David McWilliams not on the level. Like, that's how it was, you know. The reason guys are successful is they can meet their they can handle it. Their personality matches. Dabo's done a great job at Clemson, getting on level. Now I think he's starting to tilt off the level, but you know, Jim Harbaugh at Michigan figured those people out, and they hadn't been for a long time. And we'll see if Sherrone Moore can do the same thing. But I think this is Will Wade. I think he can get on their level. He can absolutely match it. To me, he's the Lane Kiffin of basketball.
That's a really
the Lane Kiffin of basketball.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin of basketball. And you can, Lane Kiffin. And look, he hasn't done anything yet. Just like Will Wade hasn't done anything yet. But he's making waves and he's shaking things up. And he's smart enough to figure it out.
They're adaptive.
Yeah,
they can actually adapt with the times where a lot of people get stuck in and don't.
Will Wade was ahead of things.
Yes. Yes, he was.
He was well ahead of it.
Yes, he was.
Well ahead of it. Unabashedly well ahead of it.
He was.
And number 1, Billy Donovan. Look, if you can get Billy Donovan, you get Billy Donovan.
Yeah, you get him, but
I still the calendar of this is probably going to derail it.
I don't see. Look, I know he's not having success with the Bulls. I understand that.
Here's what I would think.
Come on.
If no one is hired in the next week, Billy Donovan has told him he's taking the job.
I would agree with that.
Like, he's told them, like,
just wait it out.
Just wait it out. I'm taking the job. And then they can be like, well, we're expanding our search to include blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You know. Look, this is the last day to in-person recruit anyway. Before it closes for a little bit. So it's not like they're not getting somebody by 10 o'clock tonight.
No, not going to happen.
You know, I mean, or unless they already have somebody. But like, if Scott Drew told them no this morning, they weren't already negotiating with Plan B down the road. I mean, they had already talked to they've talked to more than one person. But if the job is offered to Scott, then the next person is at best in the same position Scott was in.
Exactly.
24 hours ago.
Yeah, it's the whole thing.
So, which I don't think that they would probably move that fast. Like, usually between a no and the next one is a little bit longer. But we'll see. But look, if you can get Billy Donovan, you get Billy Donovan. Thanks to everybody who watched today. Tomorrow,